All right, and we are live. Welcome to episode 25 of Narrations and Lamentations with Mittierim and the boys. I am your host, Mittierim, and with me, as always, are the boys, Skip and Michael.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so we do not have a guest with us tonight because, frankly, a guest would be totally in the dark about our topic for the evening, and that is going to be the plans that we are making for our new narrative campaign and sort of what we've learned from the previous one and kind of what our mindset is and our plans are for going into this new one. So hopefully you guys will still enjoy that and give you some kind of ideas if any of you want to start narratives of your own, or heck, if you have ideas for us, leave them in the comments below. We're more than happy to blatantly rip off the intellect of our fellow YouTubers, so feel free. So first things first, let's do a little bit of
Well, I just got my two boxes, or the two extra boxes of iron breakers and the organ gun in, and so they're glued, and I got to prime them. And there's another 20 iron breakers to paint, 10 more hammers to paint, and 20 long beards to paint.
So are you on track for your target to be able to take them all to Brawlers?
Yeah, so far I am.
Awesome. That's good news. For anyone who cares about my Brawlers, I am back to square one as to my list. I have no freaking idea what I'm going to bring. So I think I've got everything I need. I can't imagine myself making a list isn't using what I've got, but that's kind of where it is for Brawlers right now. I'm kind of frustrated at the moment with it. So Skip, what do you got on your table?
I'm actually working on a new Lich Priest right here. I don't think you can see him, but I just got him primed. So that's what I'm working on right now, some undead.
Very nice. And I am in the middle of my lizard men. I don't know if you guys can see them. I've been putting them... Maybe I should take one out of the box. Because I'm doing my bases separately and it's been cold as crap here lately, I haven't had a chance to prime the bases and make them look good, so I've been working... Vince will be proud of me. I've been sticking the models to the top of paint bottles, and there's my standard for my group of Saurus warriors. Very nice. I like the weird standards for them. It's not a great camera, but then my nice bright orange scale shields. So I've gotten 16 done, plus a Croxagore. None of them are on bases yet because I haven't even started the basing. And I think my next project I'm going to be assembling is a box of skinks and start on that. Figure I'll alternate back and forth between the two so I don't get too burned out while I'm working on only one. So, that being the case, we're going to get into, like I said, our topic for tonight is going to be our plans for the new narrative campaign. Those of you who have been paying attention know that up probably in the next couple months at the rate we're going to wrap up our current narrative. And since we had so much fun with this one, we want to keep it going. So we're getting in some plans for a new narrative and kind of have some basic ideas of what we wanted to do. So I actually want to open the discussion about this with a question to you guys. What do you feel that you've learned from the first campaign we've done? We've been going for a year or so on this narrative campaign. What do you think's worked? What have you learned? What has not worked? Mistakes? And any general thoughts? And it was silent. You know,
Well, I learned how to win a little bit.
okay.
No, seriously. I mean, this campaign has helped me become a better Warhammer player, I think. I've had a few ups and a lot of downs, but I think I'm getting comfortable in my skin, so to speak, coming into to being a Warhammer player. I'm not as mad at myself when I lose, and I'm very happy with myself when I've actually won. So I think that's what I've taken out of this campaign, and I think it's helped me because because we are doing more of a narrative than like a tournament style. I think that's allowed my brain to get more into the story, and that's also has kind of helped me out as well.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all known since the beginning that the narrative, the character side of things is definitely what drew you into this in the first place, so that's no huge surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Michael? Any lessons, thoughts?
I've definitely learned that we have to play every game as, even if we expect an outcome, it could completely backfire in our face and not be anywhere near what we expected.
I will absolutely second that. I think where we're going with the campaign right now, it's a sure sign that it can go off the rails damn quick.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I definitely think I enjoyed kind of the free-form nature of this campaign. I like the fact that we were only limited by our own imaginations, though I'm very interested to see how that will differ from the more structured campaign that we're planning on doing. I think I think I've felt like I have been a major sort of force for this first campaign, in part because it was so open-ended and we kind of are just playing it by ear. I'm hoping that with the more structure that we're kind of trying to provide for the next one, which we'll discuss in a minute, so you guys will know what we're talking about. I think it'll be interesting to see if the sort of the progress of the storyline becomes more evened out, with all of us kind of contributing equally, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in agreement, there's going to be nothing to talk about by the end of this. Okay, so, second thing I want to talk about the current campaign, and I know we have kind of volleyed, we did at the start, I think, together more in our views of the end times. But I wanted to get your general impressions on what you guys thought of the end times kind of happening when they did. How do you think it affected our campaign? Was it good? Was it bad? Was there anything you wanted to do more of? You wanted to do less of? Whatever. Just general thoughts on end times and how it impacted our campaign and perhaps even the thoughts for the future campaign.
Well, it definitely gave us some building blocks for more narrative battles. Gave us a little better backdrop to what was happening.
Mm-hmm. You mean in terms of the actual narrative or the scenarios and whatnot that we did?
The actual narrative. As having the all-encompassing, oh, this is going to go horrible really quick with a book, and then having good guy armies turn around and start actually doing something, kind of balanced out how bad the books made me feel.
All right. How about you, Skip?
I mean, I think it gave us a little, like Michael said, a little bit of background stuff, but it also opened up some doors for some battles we didn't even think we could do. You know, like underground and things like that, and stuff that we haven't even tried yet that I'd like to see more in the next campaign. So I think it's giving us different scenarios, even though we're not using the battles from the end of times, we're using the model from it. And I think that's really cool because we're not just doing battle line or watchtower or something like that. We try to experiment with some of the other stuff that's in there, and I think that's been pretty cool.
See, I find it interesting in that with our kind of reactionary pullback from the end times, I think it succeeded in kind of shaking us out of complacency. I think that perhaps if the end times hadn't occurred like it did, we would have stuck a little closer to kind of the published lore. But since in a lot of cases we were like, well, screw that, I don't like that where that's going, and we sort of instinctively pulled back and changed directions, I think it made it more dynamic. I don't think we felt particularly bound by any piece of the lore that existed, and I kind of like that dynamic approach to it that we ended up having.
Yeah, especially the whole dwarves are all dying, and I went, no, that's not happening. We're still alive.
You always go, wow, that's not happening.
Yeah. we can die, just not in that massive of a number.
Okay, so in a I guess that'll get to sort of our first actual topic that's not sort of a question, just kind of a general info for you guys. As to what we're going to be starting the campaign from. We have definitely decided that regardless of what happens to the actual Warhammer world in 9th, particularly because 9th may be 6 months away, we're going to be placing this campaign on the Warhammer world sort of as it exists at the end of or sort of late to end times scenario as we have presented it. We are not going back to all of the GW stuff. We are working from basically what we have set up in this first campaign, and then just kind of shifting the area to bring in new armies. So I'm sure you guys are listening to that somewhat rambling bit and asking, what the hell does that mean? Well, what it means is that we are going to be placing this campaign in Estalia, Tilea, and the Border Princes post beatdown by the Skaven. Basically, the way we're working it, because we don't actually have a Skaven player, is that essentially the Skaven succeeded in wrecking Estalia, Tilea, and the Border Princes, but before they could really just annihilate everybody, they had massive misfires, and their shoddy weaponry and explosions drove them back underground. So basically what happens is, without the powers that were in those lands, the armies that we're going to be representing are essentially each going to be fighting for that territory and a piece of that pie. So I like it because it gives us a more kind of defined area. It is going to be a little bit more of that dynasty building or empire building kind of thing that some campaigns do have. So I definitely think it's going to be a little different from what the first campaign was, which was very sort of islands of personality, might be this way to put it, as opposed to this is going to be sort of a setup for multiple groups to be impacting each other at once. So that being the setup, would one of you guys like to discuss kind of what we're planning for kind of the army builds and the starting of things? Like as far as the restrictions we placed on each other or on ourselves, the number of armies we're each going to use, that whole setup.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we're doing 1,000 points is starting off restrictive. That's going to be the base, and then we'll work up from there. No lords. You can only have heroes. If you pick a wizard with a lore, he can only take that lore.
Mm-hmm.
Magic items are restricted to 15 points.
Mm-hmm. And just as a clarification of the wizard, there's a maximum one wizard to start the game.
Yeah.
As one character. On top of that, if you're whatever lore your first wizard for your army takes, that is the only lore that your army starts off knowing. So if you get additional wizards later, they still have to be of that same lore until you learn other lores.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as we discussed one of our previous shows, when I brought up what Ant and Once Bitten and everything we're doing with the virtues, we're kind of doing that as well for some of the other powers, like for vampiric powers, things like that, that you actually have to earn them before you can take them. And you have to declare that you're going for it in this particular battle. And if you win, you get it. If you don't, you got to do it again.
Well, it's a little more complicated than that.
Right.
So the idea is you don't want to necessarily hinge it on having to win. So essentially the idea that I came up with that I think we're going to go with is that when the battles are still going to be set up like they have been up to this point. One player will write an intro narrative and essentially challenge another player. Once the challenge has been accepted, each player can declare that they are going to be attempting to earn one power or one virtue, one whatever. Once that's been declared, their opponent gets to name a challenge that they have to succeed during the combat or during the battle for them to earn that. So, for instance, let's say that the virtue of empathy. This was one that because I know it's one you wanted to get. It's one I've been thinking about. So if Skip declares a challenge against my army and he wants to earn the virtue of empathy, I might tell him that to earn that at some point during the battle, his peasants have to either destroy in combat or break in combat another unit to basically show that the peasants are good enough for the knights to bother giving a shit about them. Something like that. So win or lose, if Skip achieves that additional game goal, he will then be able to use that virtue only on characters who were present in the battle. So if he brings in a new character, obviously he can't give them that virtue. He's got to use the virtue on that individual. So I figure it's cool because I think it'll give the potential for something more to the battle than just run straight at your opponent's face and crush it. Which I think has been a pretty common complaint that most folks have had for the way Warhammer works at this point. In that you like... You want to have something to focus on other than push forward, roll dice. So I like that. Caleb asks if we have a copy of the rules. Absolutely. I'm kind of writing them as we're going. So if you would like, I would be more than happy. I'll post what we've got so far to the Warhammer YouTubers site. And folks can kind of take a look at them right there. Right now, it's pretty thin, but we'll post everything we've got if folks are finding it interesting. And Vince says we should make a random possible event scenario or something where a group of Skaven attack from a random board edge. In fact, why not have a bunch of dangerous random events to given the almost post-apocalyptic territory? That is something that we're thinking about. I haven't quite figured out how I want to do it yet. I like a lot of the rules we're kind of tweaking from Blood in the Badlands, and they've got a thing like a pre-battle event table that I kind of like, but not like only a third to half of it would actually apply to what we're doing. So I may have to, I've got to do a lot of extra work to get that together. So that's, I mean, we still got time. That's kind of way off at this point, but that's definitely something we're thinking about. Now, do either of you guys, to kind of get into the second thing, do either of you guys remember the rules that we had set up for the buying magic items enough to explain it to folks, or should I keep going?
I don't want to keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm going to spend the whole freaking time talking. Let's go. So in addition, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. In addition to the special abilities, we are leaving the options for regiments of renown. So, for those of you who have played the Blood in the Badlands campaign, you know that there are victory and defeat tables that you roll. So we've decided to keep that, though I have changed them significantly, because we're not going to be quite at least in terms of actually having like stuff to move around on a big plastic map, something like that. But like if you win a battle, you could get like the first thing you can get if you win a battle is you could make your rivals jealous, and that the tale of your deeds have spread so far that in your next battle, your opponents earn double victory points from capturing your standards. So like there's one bad result on winning and one good result on losing, so they kind of balance out. But you can earn additional gold, which we'll explain in a minute. Get bonuses to leaderships because your general thinks he's a badass for winning. You can get free magical standards, or you could get a regiment of renown. And basically the way regiment of renowns are going to work is that if you roll the result for regiment of renown, you have to then use that unit as they are equipped at the time that they became a regiment of renown in every subsequent battle you play with that army for as long as they're a regiment. And then the table will also give essentially an additional special rule for them. Either devastating charge, armor piercing, always strikes first, forest stride, or fear or swift stride. To kind of give, to help us shape the narrative and give different ways of people other than just the characters being important movers and shakers. And like if you lose it, it is entirely possible one of the results is that your regiment of renown loses their ability and aren't regiment, or well, they're a regiment of renown, they just don't get the special ability anymore and that sort of thing. But the thing that I think is going to be possibly the coolest yet potentially most problematic to deal with in the long term is how we're doing magical items. As Michael explained earlier, at the start of the campaign, you have only access to magical items that are 15 points or less each. All other magical items in the campaign have to be purchased. So the way we're doing it is we're setting up that each magic item is worth its value in gold pieces. And that once you've bought them, that item is now added to the list of magical items you can equip your army with. But if a character that's equipped with one of these purchased magical items is defeated in combat, you roll a d6. On the result of a 1, the enemy steals that magic item. If it's an item from the Big Red Book, they can add it to their own list of magic items, or if it's an item from a specific army book, the enemy instead gains that point value in gold pieces for them to buy their own stuff. So, I've been going on a while. What do you guys think about that? I want you to discuss a little bit of the implications, what you guys like, or maybe even don't like about those ideas.
Well, I think it gives a good opportunity if you don't want your opponent to have, for example, the Banner of the Dragon or something like that. Then you have a chance of actually taking it from him. You know, I think that's pretty cool. And he wouldn't be able to use it until he wins it back.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the way that we're going to, other ways that we can get gold that you haven't explained yet. about what we can do looting wise and stuff like that. I think that's going to add a lot to the battles too, because it's again, like you said, instead of just putting people on the board and rushing at each other trying to kill, we may take one of our units and do something else with it that was completely unexpected. So I think that this is going to add a lot more to the strategy of the game. It's going to make it more fun to play. I think it's going to make it more fun to watch too.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I should, before we let Michael kind of talk about, I should discuss the looting rules. But I never explained how you get it.
I have that in front of me if you want me to talk about it.
Oh yeah, you do. Go right ahead.
All right. Now, when it comes to looting, certain terrain items on the board are going to have valuables during the game. For example, you can take a turn and perform a looting action instead of moving, attacking, or anything like that. And the 3 that we've come up with so far is you can loot mysterious forests, any buildings, and also mysterious rivers. Now, you're saying to yourself probably, well, that's pretty easy. Nothing bad can happen to me if I'm going to looting those places. Well, sorry. There's going to be a bad result along with some good results. 2 to 5, you find some gold. Okay. 6, yeah, you hit the mother lode. You roll that 1, bad things happen. Like you suffer a D6 strength 5 hits with armor piercing, trap, and pitfall. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as terrain and being able to gain the gold to buy those magic items. Or you could actually say that there's a specific magic item that both of us want are actually in that. That could be an option as well down the road. But that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah. And a couple of clarifications on that. To give you an idea, like the traps and pitfalls thing is you roll a d6 when you have to enter the terrain type during the remaining move phase or have been deployed there in the case of scouts or terrain that's on your side, and take no further actions for that turn. At the end of the turn, you roll a d6. On a 1, you get the d6 strength 5 hits with armor piercing. 2 through 5, you get 2d6 gold pieces. On a 6, you get 46 gold pieces because you hit the mother lode. But here's the trick, so that it doesn't favor just the super speedy armies. A unit that has looted that money has to survive the battle to keep the gold. Or they have to have one of the named characters that we're using join that unit to basically collect the gold from them. And if that happens, you get to keep it, or if the unit survives the game. And each army can attempt to loot a single terrain piece once. So both sides can loot the same mysterious forest, which will kind of actually give some room to fight over various terrain pieces, that sort of thing. So I thought that was, again, a way to kind of spread us out and make us fight over different things rather than just trying to butcher each other. So, sorry to interrupt, Michael. You go ahead and tell us what your general thoughts are now that we kind of explained all the rules.
I forgot where I was.
You were about to explain to us what you thought of the Regiment of Renown rules, the weapon rules, the looting rules, any of that. What do you think? Is strong parts of it, weak parts of it? What?
I'm big on the looting rules. That's I've always enjoy having something else to do instead of, like you said, move forward, roll dice, because you do that once a week for 2 years and you just kind of get burnt out in the game. So that's going to be the entertaining part of it. The whole magic weapons and magic gear limited 15. I mean, that's a smart move for us because, let's face it, if I decided, oh, here's my Thane, but he's 75 points of just tricked out runes, I'm going to have a huge advantage. As I'm pretty sure my heroes, or my hero level Thane's probably going to outfight most others for his points.
Very likely.
And
yeah, I guess that's another thing to mention, too, is we're not allowing any special characters to start off with.
Yeah.
I think we've left it open to the idea of having maybe special games where you can rescue/earn one of the special characters from your army book, if that's something you want to do. But right now, the 1,000-point limit and your only characters are hero characters that you create.
Yeah. But I mean, it also keeps me from taking things like the stubborn banner, the anti-shooting banner, stuff like that. It just gives me, oh look, you'll never break my units, and at 1,000 points, if you can't break my units, you can't win. Because 1,000 points, nobody has the stuff to take on dwarves.
Not like dwarves are all that easy to break normally.
No, but you're looking at, typically leadership 10, but if you can knock that down, if you can win by 4, then it's leadership 6. And that's a lot more attainable than me just going, oh, I've got one dude left, yeah, I'm leadership 10.
Yeah, good point.
And the whole Regiments of Renown I love the Regiments of Renown. It's something that's definitely, I definitely enjoyed from Blood in the Badlands. I get to go, oh, here's my unit, and they're awesome.
Yeah, they're definitely, I think, a great tool for helping to build the story. Caleb Goodson also popped up with, he says, that will certainly make people attack characters more often. Hurry, get their stuff. Yeah, but you know what? That's kind of what I think should happen. You should have characters wanting to get into fights. You should have reasons to engage your opponents, but you should also have other things to do than just throw all your units at one unit, break it, and keep running.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the aim we're trying to go for with this campaign and all these extra rules, is to add something that makes sense and isn't arbitrary. Like, you're fighting over this dot in the middle of the map, and you get victory points if you fight out. Like, that just seems weirdly arbitrary to me. As opposed to the idea of, hey, we're both trying to loot this one building or this one forest, go get it. So any other thoughts on the rules? I hear silence. So, so the next thing we're going to do, and this is just kind of for general discussion. We've all pretty much decided what armies we're going to be using. We didn't mention the limit, but we have decided that for the start of the campaign, we're limiting ourselves to 2 armies apiece. And we haven't come up with a hard character, like named character list, but I'm thinking 3 or 4 max for named characters per army. Yeah. Makes sense. But
yeah, that works.
So why don't we go around and I guess we'll alternate and tell what armies we're bringing. Michael, why don't you shock the world with your unexpected choice?
Dwarves.
Wow.
I mean, who saw that coming?
Yeah, I didn't. Skip.
Okay. This is going to be a shocker. I'm actually picking up the Wood Elves and using them for my first army.
Yeah, I'm. After last week's discussion of the trifecta of terrible, Skip decided he wants to trade his Dark Elves for Wood Elves. So, Anybody out there that happens to have a Wood Elf army that they don't want and want to trade for Skip, definitely leave us a comment. And
please do.
I know Skip has reached out to Anthony so far, but I don't think Anthony's been able to find anyone who wants to bite.
Not yet.
So for me, it should be pretty obvious with what I'm working on, but my first army is going to be Lizardmen. I am hoping I have enough done to make 1,000 points before we get this thing started. But I'm really looking forward to them. I think it with us being in the old world, I think it brings a lot of story reasons and stuff to why the hell the Lizardmen are halfway across the planet fighting for the ruins of Tilea and Estalia. So, Michael, what's your second army?
Mercenary High Elves.
All right, explain that one.
High Elves that, after the sinking of their homeland, decided, you know what, hey, we'll be mercenaries.
That makes sense. Just say, screw following Malekith.
I mean, if you think about the story-wise, what high elf in his right mind goes, yeah, that's the dark elf dude that slaughtered a bunch of my people. I'm going to follow him. That seems like a good idea.
Only the emo ones.
Yeah, so no, they're more, you know, fuck it, we'll be pirates.
Actually, like I had a random thought. I meant to mention this to you that would be really interesting. As far as sort of maybe even an elf legion army, but I was thinking about it with just high elves being like a cult of Malekith. Being that like the elves are all about like cults apparently if you read into their stuff, but just the idea of them literally like with the absence of all the other gods, elves who have literally taken to worship Malekith as sort of like Messiah type character. And so it would just be like brutal high elves who are just working the will of Malekith on the world as they see him as the Messiah. I don't know if it would be fun to play, but it was kind of a cute idea that popped into my head.
I definitely like the idea of the fluff on that, but God, I hate Malekith so much.
Well, you don't have to do it. Don't worry about it. All right, what is your second army? Wow us again, because your choices were fucking out there, dude.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's thinking, you know, he's going to take Bretonia as his second army. No. I'm going with the second of the terrible trio. I'm going with Tomb Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this at least makes a little bit more sense, as Estalia and Talea and the Border Princes are at least closer to the Tomb King's land than where we were doing the campaign earlier, so that makes sense. And you haven't had a chance to play it much.
Oh, no, I haven't.
And just as a clarification point for anybody who doesn't hear their favorite army mentioned, we are going to open the opportunity to introduce new armies as the story kind of allows for it. This is just sort of what we're getting started with at the 1,000-point level, so on and so forth. So, so my second is actually probably going to be a surprise. I know everybody's probably expecting me to say ogres, but to be honest, I'm feeling a little burned out on them right now. They were a huge part of the last campaign. I've been playing them till my eyes bleed trying to get ready for Brawlers, and after I play Brawlers, I'm probably just going to want to sit the fat bastards on a shelf for a little while. So, I know I've given this army a hell of a lot of grief, and I've caught some flack for it, so I'm going to try and learn from other folks. My second army is going to be Vampire Counts. I haven't had a lot of success with them. They've been marginal in this campaign at best, and I think I just need to give them a better shake. So we'll see how well they work at the 1,000-point level. And I've already done my stories. I don't want to reveal them because I'm planning on doing Fluffmasters videos like I did for the first campaign. Those of you who have paid attention to my page have already noticed I've put all the old Fluffmasters into a Series 1 area in preparation, but I like the idea I've come up with. It's going to be very different from what I had done before, and I'll see if I can't make them fun to play, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. So, okay, we actually got another question. Let's look at that first. This is from Black Tower Terrain, and for those of you who don't know who this guy is, if you've seen my maw pit that's been on our terrain, he made that for me. Excellent fella, does great terrain work. So check him out. His YouTube channel is Black Tower Terrain, so definitely check him out. He's awesome. I'd recommend his work very highly. So he puts a question to us as a group. If we were to receive a donation package from a terrain maker for the new campaign, which of the following would you choose for playability purposes as well as great visual factor? A modular forest set. B, a modular hill and cliff set. C, rocky outcropping and pond set. Or D, a fine mix of all of the above.
I want a mix.
Skip?
I I like the mix idea, but I also like the forest idea. So
You and your wood elves.
Well,
yeah, I know.
I agree. I actually I think a mix would be great. I would lean a little heavy on the forest just because I think we have less of those than the other things. Because
Yeah.
we only have all we've got for forest is we've got one of the GW forests that Alicia painted, and then we've got one that's the same size as the GW forest that she made out of like particle board. I think no, it's not particle board. It's some other kind of foam board, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah, foam board and shit she found in the backyard. So it looks
It
good,
looks good though.
but we
Yeah.
don't like with as common as forests are that roll up on the tables. We just don't have enough of them. What we end up having to do when we roll more than one is Alicia made a bunch of little trees for our D&D game, and so we get them and put them on these colored grid paper foam foam board things she makes, so they look really strange next to some of the others. So that would be my advice in the hypothetical uh, circumstance in which some amazing terrain maker were to make such a donation to us. Uh, we certainly would be very welcoming of it. Um,
Very.
right. So I guess let's talk a little bit about, since we revealed our armies. Um, do you guys have any ideas what you're planning on in terms of the style as far as unit choice and stuff like that of the armies you're building? Because I think all of us are playing armies that can go with a variety of different builds.
Well, with the Wood Elves, I'm thinking not the Avoidance Army because that's not fun to play at all. So I'm thinking more of a mixture of shooting, some cavalry, and Eternal Guard. Is kind of what I'm leaning towards, at least with them.
Are you
So it'd be
going
well
for
balanced.
Are you going for penis helmet internal guards, or are you going to try and get the old ones?
I'm going to try to get the old ones.
Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do have to say, somebody, I'm sorry if I'm not remembering you, somebody made the point that the Eternal Guard kits are the same kit as the Wildwood Rangers, and the heads are identical. So you can actually use the Eternal Guard with the hooded heads for the Rangers, and
Cool.
supposedly looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
I'm
thought it might
sorry.
have been Vint.
What?
I think it might have been Vint.
Was it? It might have been.
Might
If that
have
was you,
been, yeah.
Vince, just leave another random comment. I talked to so many people here, and I don't remember who. Um, so for me, the at least to start off with, my Lizardman is going to be very, very skink heavy. In first 1,000 points I put together, doesn't have any Saurus in it at all, which you must then be wondering why the hell I spent all this time painting 16 Saurus. But my idea is, at least to start, is it's going to be essentially a reconnaissance group. So they haven't sent in the Saurus yet, so it's going to be a lot of skinks. Not necessarily even doing skink cloud per se, maybe more cohorting, but that's kind of what I'm aiming for, is a lot of little skink characters, or little skinks running around and causing mischief. So who's next? We got one more army each to go through.
I'll go ahead and finish out my Tomb Kings then.
Okay.
I'm going animated construction heavy with my Tomb Kings. I think I want to go with. I have to go with the Lich Priest because I have to have a Hierophant. But I think my other character to start off with is going to be a Necrotech, and I'm going to use some of my my constructed guys, more so than not. So I might lean less on chariots, more on like tomb scorpions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your Hierophant has to be lore of Nehekara, right?
It does. So that's my choice is already made for that army to begin with.
Yeah.
So
Same with me in the VC.
yeah.
Oh, and by the way, just for anybody who's asking, once this current campaign is over, we are going to go back to the pre-end times rules as far as your legions and your different rules. We're still going to do the 50% lords and heroes and the lore of undeath if anybody feels like taking it. But no more Legion of Undeath, no more Legion of Chaos. We're just going back to the normal army stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess the next thing, I'll go next, and then Michael can finish us off with his dwarf love. For my vampire counts, I'm actually going to go very foot heavy. My main character is going to be basically a foot vampire lord. I'm thinking two-hand weapon style, just in there to be in there. I'm going, at least to start off, very skeleton heavy because I don't have a whole lot of zombies. At least not the zombies I want to use. I got a big brick of them that look like night goblins, but I don't really want to use those in this particular campaign. And my second character is actually going to be a banshee. So we'll see kind of where that goes. But I'm definitely not thinking of going cavalry like I did with the vampires in this campaign. So we'll definitely see where it goes. And I definitely need to get some use out of my Vargeists because I painted them up so pretty and still haven't even used them yet. So dwarfs, what you got? What's your general thoughts for your dwarf list?
Well, I'm thinking to start off with doing more of a scouting party style. So a lot more rangers will show up. You'll see a couple gyrocopters here and there. Typically, probably only going to run one war machine at most, and the rest is just going to be just base infantry and whatnot. And as for characters, I'm going to pretty much do one thing, or I'm going to do two things, one for BSB and one for general, and then a runesmith. But I'm thinking not even making them princes or anything, probably just making them captains of force. So literally, like the dwarves send out this recon force and be like, "Hey, what's going on over there?"
That's cool. Let me ask you this: with what we're doing as far as limiting the magic items, do you feel you're at a disadvantage with the dwarves and sort of their rune system, since we're counting the runes as magic items?
I mean, not that bad. I mean, there's a couple runes I would really love to take, but I'm pretty sure out of the 75 points I get with them, I can field a pretty decent guy. And the fact that I can field multiple 15-point runes on different guys, if I just go, hey, here's a rune of warding, that's 15 points, and the other guy's got a rune of warding too, but he's also got a rune of impact that's 10 points.
I kind of like the fact that we're limiting you to 10 or to 15 points as well, because I think it'll show a lot of the runes that don't get a whole lot of playtime.
Yeah.
I get the feeling the Rune of Stone is going to get a freaking workout.
Yes, it is. That is my favorite rune. Well, that's my favorite rune just naturally, because it's 5 points and I get a +1 to my armor, which is, I mean, who can't dislike that?
Yeah. So, so it definitely should be fun. I think I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very much chomping at the bit to get to this. So I'm trying to get, like, I'm wanting to put the quality into my Lizardmen, but I'm like, oh, I need to get them finished. Want to play this campaign? So we did get just a burst of comments. I don't know if you guys are like leaving them all at once or whether YouTube is just throwing them at me all at once. But Caleb says, Skip, you should have gotten into the Fighting Fungi Kickstarter. You could have done a mushroom-themed Wood Elf army.
Oh, man. That would have been cool.
I've seen those links around. I haven't actually looked at them very much, but they're pretty cool looking. So Vince says, though he is certainly fine with the Malekith thing, he says he very much likes your idea of mercenary high elves setting off on their own. It takes the story that's in the background, but it gives a nice homage to the true high elves. He also says, Skip, you have made the right choice. Now just stop taking the skeletal horsemen and you're good to go. Tomb Kings forever. And apparently he's just telling me to forget the haters. The vampire count should be awesome. Plus that means that we can do vampires versus Tomb Kings for the true power of the undead. I seriously see that happening. I got this mental image, and I don't know if it's like even possible with the terrain we have, but I so wanted to do it. The idea of like the Tomb King versus the vampire counts fighting over the Warhammer analog to Florence. I think it's Florence. Whichever one has the river or the where it's basically underwater, so you take gondolas everywhere. Is that Florence?
Yeah,
no, Venice.
Yeah,
Venice.
Yeah,
Venice. Yeah, so like just the idea of like undead just coming up out of the water everywhere and fighting over this flooded cityscape. Like that image just screams cool in my head.
We got to make that happen.
But like I said, yeah. Apparently, you were right, Michael. It was Vince. And he says, for Skip's benefit, you do get a full set of heads, like 20 plus of both. So you can build your whole Eternal Guard unit with the Ranger heads. And he says it looks totally awesome because those ninja masks are badass.
Cool.
That's why I remember, because I remember he said ninja mask.
It'll also help because it means you have to paint less flesh, and I know that's been driving you nuts.
Oh, God, yes. Thank you, Vince.
And actually, we just got another question from a first-time question asker. If I can make it pop up. See, my email tells me, you got a question from this person. All right, I'm going to have to open it up in the email because it's not popping up here. So this is for FOUFCFK. I'm not even going to pronounce that, although I see what your capitals spelled. Good job, sir. He says, hey guys, question for Skip. If it's already been touched on, he apologizes, but have you ever tried running Lore of Undeath with the Bretonnians?
No, because I had such a passionate hate when it was used against me, I never wanted to do it. But that being said, in this new campaign, I don't know what direction. The Brits are going to show up. I just don't know when. But that may be an option I haven't thought about. So,
I think there's definitely some potential strong points to it. I mean, you basically could make up for not having the strong crapping out little units of skeletons here and there. Would also give you sort of shooting ability when you needed it, since you could like make Tomb King skeletons.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. I think it ultimately comes down to how many wizards do you feel comfortable fielding. And I don't even know. Like, we haven't even, for folks, FYI, we haven't even started talking about kind of what rules we're going to apply when we introduce new armies. So right now we don't have any idea whether we're going to be limiting new armies to one lore as well, if they're going to have to follow these same rules, or what. We're just at that. We're so far off at that point where we just haven't given it any thought. But it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I'll definitely tuck that away as something to maybe work in. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm actually, my lore I'm going with for the lizard men is going to be heavens, and obviously for the vampire accounts it has to be lore of vampires. So,
I have not decided for the wood elves yet. I'm thinking probably life to begin with, but I don't know yet. I haven't gotten that far.
Right. What about you, Michael? Any thoughts on what lore you're going to be starting with for your high elves?
Probably high magic, but I mean, at the same time, I'm still looking through the other lores to see if there's anything that catches my
Yeah.
eye, makes me go, mercenary.
High magic is going to be hard with only level 2 casters, though. Aren't they?
Well, I
Aren't
mean,
those pretty high
no.
casting values?
4,
No.
yeah, 4 of my spells are, I think, 7 or less to cast.
Oh.
Yeah, they're the low ass cast spells. I mean, I've got the 2 that, the Tempest and the weapon, the one that breaks magic stuff, and even the
Mhm.
Tempest one's like 13. Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
I break 10 on all of them.
Well, that'd be definitely cool. So, although I think maybe going Shadow would play more into the mercenary idea.
Yeah.
All right, so we did get a few questions this week, all from Vince. I guess nobody else was interested in our campaign other than the people who are watching. But so his first question, and he's dealing with more kind of what we learned from the last campaign. If we could each change one element of the narrative in the existing campaign, would we? If so, what would it be? And was there any one battle you wish had went a different direction to see how the world would have looked afterwards?
Well, I can answer that last part. I think I'd like to have that battle back where I lost Chandra.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that was kind of pivotal to Alphonius' state of mind. So if I could take one back, that would be the one I would like to have won.
Mm-hmm. That would definitely make the campaign look a hell of a lot different.
Mm-hmm, it would.
Yeah.
I would have to say if there was one battle that I think was pivotal that would make the world look radically different, I think I would like to be able to, I'm happy with the way it turned out, but I would have loved to see what we had done with it had Kurgoth Plaguefather killed Tok'ran and corrupted the White Tooth.
Yeah.
Instead of Tok'ran rescuing his daughter, I think a freaking ogre tribe bent to Nurgle would definitely be a different animal in the campaign world. What about you, Michael? Any particular battle you think you hoped had gone another way, or would have been interested in seeing it go another way?
The Beastman sacking of Loningsbrook, where they failed to actually sack it,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been interesting, because that would have really messed with the Empire's presence there. Would have thrown a nice monkey wrench in there, and it would have been neat to see where that went.
Well, I think what it would have done is I think it would have made me play my Empire a lot more aggressively. Because right now, I mean, pretty much since that happened, they've been stuck in Longingsbrook. So they've been a primarily defensive force and not really big movers and shakers. I think had Longingsbrook been sacked, I probably would have had most of the characters die and then reintroduce new characters who essentially would be a counterattack and get into things, which would make the whole Empire presence look radically different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
As far as changing one element of the narrative, I don't know. I think I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think we did a pretty damn good job this time.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's one thing sticking out. I mean, there's a couple of these battles that would be cool to be like the old Marvel What If comics.
Yeah.
Like, what if Aunt May took over the White Tooth clan? I mean, it's...
That would have been amazing.
Yeah. But I don't know that there's anything that I sit around going, God, I wish I would change that. So, number 2, and this one might be a little bit of a hot button topic for us. What army do you feel didn't get proper attention that it might have deserved in the narrative?
I didn't get proper attention.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. My dwarves when I was playing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think they suffered from interpersonal bullshit that happened in the group at the time, and so I think they got kind of railed. Ultimately, it didn't matter because I ended up trading them away. But part of me wonders how much of my decision to trade them away was a function of them not really having a place in the narrative anymore.
Yeah.
So I definitely think they should have gotten more attention. I also feel the same way about the Dark Elves.
I was just about to say that if I didn't suck as a general for the Dark Elves, I think they could have played a bigger part in it. But I suck at them, so hey, I freely admit that.
I just felt so bad because it was like every time the Dark Elves showed up on the beach, going, "Can we play?" My ogres were like, "No, bitches, get back on your ships."
Yeah.
And I mean, not that I ever begrudged the White Tooth Clan a victory, but it would have been. I think it would have been different if the Dark Elves had more of a stage presence.
I think for the most part, we just kind of didn't let elves play with us.
Yeah, well, I mean, you didn't pick up the Dark Elves or the High Elves till the very end.
Yeah. And I mean, they did get in one battle, but they got kicked off the beach.
Actually, you know what other army I wish had had a greater part in the narrative? Or any part in the narrative? The Orcs and Goblins.
Oh, right, yeah, Orcs and Goblins.
I thought, yeah, I think it could have been a lot of fun if we had been able to get Alicia in to do a real proper wah upside our heads with the goblins, because she would have ended up winning the whole damn thing.
Oh yeah, easily.
She'd have killed us all off.
Yeah, I've been sitting here thinking, that little random thing, kind of like Skaven showing up, in one battle. I think Alicia should be the random, once in every blue moon, the goblins just show up, kick our ass, and go right back down again.
And then we just be like, "What the hell happened?"
So the goblins just run like a weekend wah. It's just like it's like the summer camp of goblin life led by Randy.
All right, guys.
Now I just see Randy, like her little goblin model, with like one of those old-timey, like 1920s one-piece bathing suits with the suntan lotion on his nose and a whistle.
Yeah.
Lifesaver Randy.
Oh my god. Could you please make a goblin model of Randy?
I may have to talk to.
Oh, that would be amazing.
We'll have to ask her. She might be interested in doing it. I think it'd be a funny ass model too, but we'll see. No, I agree with you. I think it would be fun to just have Alicia just randomly, maybe just set it up where like week, and then if she feels like just popping in, it'll just turn whatever game it's up, or like three-way. Maybe not even use the cards, but definitely do like just have her show up and start trashing shit.
It's like, oh, we're screwed. Especially when she pops up on the side of the board within 12 of all our units, goes, "Fanatics!"
Oh, God. Yeah, let's not have scouting night goblin units with fanatics in it. Let's put that in the shelf of bad ideas and not ever talk about it again.
Can't be that bad, right? Fanatics have never destroyed or broken one of my units before. Oh, no, wait. Yes, they have.
At least they're not Mangler squigs. I've given up freaking demigriff units to those sons of bitches.
Hurt.
Alright, so question number 3, and this is sort of the same thing. Is there one army or force that wasn't represented in the narrative because none of us play it that you think would have been an awesome part of the story? Absolutely. I'll go first on this one. Sorry, guys. And it's the whole reason I'm picking them up now, Lizardmen. I think like the Lizardmen coming and pimp slapping some of the forces of chaos around would have been pretty cool. And particularly, I think it would be a neat foil to sort of how emotional my ogres ended up being. just this kind of cool, cold-blooded, just creepy, unemotional lizardmen type folks to kind of counteract that. I think it could have been cool both in terms of gameplay and presenting a different narrative. So that would be my vote.
I'd once again have to vote for the orcs and goblins.
What do you guys think?
I think that's a good thing, but I think it would have been a whole hell of a lot more fun too if Felicia's orcs and goblins were part of our mix. I understand why she doesn't. I know she likes to paint them, but I think that would have been an interesting, plot for them as well.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. So that's 2 votes for Alicia's Orcs and Goblins in 2 separate categories. So what about you, Michael?
I definitely say either the Orcs and Goblins or the Skaven, for the sole purpose that it's hard to get behind the dwarves in the narrative when we don't have an ancestral enemy. It's like, because when my dwarves came in, they basically went, "Oh, hey, Empire, we're gonna dick you over."
Which I gotta say was so funny. I mean, with as much as you and I talk about the whole alliance between the men and the dwarves, the fact that the first thing your dwarves did first game was just like, "Fuck you, humans!" Bam.
They shouldn't have sent halflings to talk to us. They should have sent people.
I guess not.
They thought they were
apparently Vince leaves a comment. The weekend, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. Sign up now and punch all the stunts you can.
Oh, we've got to have that happen. You need to paint a banner that looks like just a flyer.
I'll talk to her about it. See if she can. She's making great time with this demon army. Maybe she'll have some chance after that to do something for the next thing. I doubt it though. She's still got a bunch of stuff to do. But yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I think having some stronger foils for the dwarves would have been better. And I ultimately think part of that is that we were kind of all over the place. And I think it was kind of hard to hold on to the story doing that, which is part of the reason why I suggested we limit ourselves to 2 armies to start off with, and then can kind of slow grow it up from there, because I think we'll be able to keep a better handle.
Did he freeze?
I think he froze.
Hello, Josh. Can you hear us?
Hello. Wow.
I just see his face stuck. So now to the Michael and Skip show.
Okay, move.
Am I back? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're all froze. Okay. Awesome. So did you guys hear me read the 4th question?
No.
Okay, 4th question. Who, if anyone, should have died in the narrative but didn't? What?
Well, he finally did.
I'm voting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took a while.
He died off screen.
I don't know. Let's see. I would have loved to have seen the leader of the original Warriors of Chaos get his comeuppance.
Yeah.
Because I think it would have been a better sort of wrap up to my dwarves side of things, but
Then they sailed away.
yeah, that didn't happen.
I don't know. I feel like most of the characters that have been dying have appropriately been dying.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say that there's anybody who is still on my hit list that needs to go down. So I think again, just with the it would be interesting to see what would have happened if Tok'ran had died, because I think the White Tooth would have been absolutely a different army under Chog, who was basically going to take over ruling them next.
Yeah.
So, and I'll be interested to see what I bring in, because I mean, the White Tooth will show up because they're a mercenary army. They're just going to wander in at some point in this new campaign. But I don't know what to what capacity, so I may get to explore kind of some other stuff with them.
I know how they come in.
Oh?
The Sam counts or whoever hires the high elves, and they're like, we need some heavy hitters. And the high elves are like, hold on. I got a friend. Let me call him. Hey, just you think you can help us out?
Nice. Either that, or I could actually see like the White Tooth coming into this area being more Chog and his cronies.
Yeah.
In the idea that like Chog would want to go and like loot up all of the random magic from the lands that were destroyed. Maybe build himself a giant fat wizard's tower. It looked like a big stone Pillsbury Doughboy or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of burned out with the ogres, and I'm sure after all of Brawlers, I'm going to be even more burned out than I feel right now with them. So they're going to sit on the side for a little bit. So comment Black Tower Terrain responds that for us, sir, great choice indeed. He will work that out for us. Thank you very much, sir. We would very much appreciate it.
Yeah, we use them constantly.
Yeah, we have no problem making you. We have no problem making you the first official sponsor of Narrations and Lamentations with Mittierim and the boys. We'd be more than happy to spread the word as more than I already have as to your great work. It would be very much appreciated.
See? Skip even has the spaces for rent.
Yeah. See? It all works out.
We're good.
Nice. So we've been going about our normal time. I think that's the last of the comments. Let me double check. I'm just gonna. I hate YouTube. I have to always. Yeah. And it never fails. Like as soon as I close one of these down, I get 3 emails from comments left, like the millisecond before I shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so. Thanks everybody for watching. As far as where we're going for the show for the next couple of weeks, we are still lacking some guests. So if you people do not step up and come on this show with us, we're going to have to review these armies ourselves, and it will very likely be painful. We need your help.
Yeah.
Armies we're still looking for help on: Beastmen, Lizardmen, Orcs and Goblins. Is that all we got left?
I think that's all we got left. Chaos Dwarves.
And Chaos Dwarves. In all honesty, I'm not expecting to actually get Chaos Dwarves because I don't think anybody is willing to admit and perform they actually play them.
I hate Chaos
Dwarves. But if anybody knows the other armies, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to have to start reviewing them ourselves, and you really just don't want that. We try and be entertaining, but it's so much better when we have someone to work off of. So, okay, and for those of you who hadn't heard, due to some scheduling conflicts and stupid plane operators, apparently, Warhammer Weekly will actually be happening on Vince Venturilla's channel after us at 10:30 tonight. So definitely pop over there, see those guys. Their topic for tonight is one that I don't understand. It's called "How Much is Too Much?" I don't understand this concept of too much. Yeah. Hopefully I'll learn something.
I think they might with much crack on that one.
Yeah. But those guys do a good show. Definitely go check them out. Other than that, you fellas have anything to say to wrap this show up?
I need good dwarf clan names. Send them to me.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Send dwarf clan names, because Michael has no imagination.
I've got imagination, but most of if they can come up with some unique names, I might actually use them.
And for that matter, send character names for Skip, because after what I let him get away with in my D&D game this week, he needs all the help he can get. He is seriously, in my D&D game, playing a character named Garth. It led to 4 hours of Wayne's World jokes.
It was fantastic.
Somebody help this man. Somebody help this man. He needs all the help he can get. Send him character names because I do not want to fight Garth, the Lich Priest.
Shwing.
So,
Oh.
So somebody help this poor bastard. Well, thank you guys for tuning into our lunacy another week, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week, same time. Bye-bye,
Party on.
everybody.
Bye.